We are back with Karen Lee Schwartz and Diane Doolittle on their trip to Cuba. Let's talk about the fact that you all had some fantastic and memorable moments that you will never forget. Tell me about this.
Well, for me, it was really playing Afro Blue. It was the third song of our set at Pavillon Cuba with my newly found band. And Afro Blue is a very spiritual song made famous by John Coltrane, actually. And I had previously asked the alto player, I had just met, who his favorite saxophone player was, and he said John Coltrane. So by the time we got to the third song, I was feeling very relaxed and very comfortable on stage, and it was just a very open and free jazz kind of spiritual journey that I was able to take, and to have my travel mates be there in the audience and watching it all unfold, because they didn't know any more than I did what was going to happen or how I was going to do. So by the time we got to Afro Blue, I was like, this is wonderful. I was practically in tears, actually, thanking Ed Johnson for making the trip possible for me, as well as I want to also mention Johnny Mack from Asbury Park, who was one of my sponsors for the trip. I wouldn't have been able to go without him.
I see how comfortable you are on stage in this Stand By Me video. Oh, honey, tell me all about this. It's beautiful.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was one of my most exciting moments at Club Valdez. Fred and Ev had met Lazaro Valdez, and as they mentioned, had been invited back to the jazz club. And then they had invited us all back to the jazz club on the subsequent night. And it was the closing night of the jazz festival. We had multiple activities going on. I was like, oh, I want to get to Club Valdez, and we finally got there, and you could just feel such positive energy in the room. And after a couple songs, they started playing Stand By Me by Benny King, and I know that song, and I feel like I have to play. So I got my flute out in the audience, just figured I'd play along in the audience, and then the singer called me up on stage to jam, and that was just tremendous energy. I was so excited. And then Lazaro Valdez himself came up and joined on piano, and then Karen came up and joined on saxophone, and it was just a big, exciting jam session.
So you all get to share this experience with your students.
Yes, actually, I'm going to be doing a presentation for the Board of Education, who allowed me to take the professional days to go on the trip.
This is in Asbury Park?
Yes, in Asbury Park High School. Hi, kids. And I was actually also able to transfer some of my experiences to my students. I taught them how to play Afro Blue, and we've also played Turn the Beat Around by Gloria Estefan, both Cuban artists. And a highlight for me was I have a very shy student named Michael Sanchez, who barely talked to me all last year, and this year he got up in front of hundreds of people and played a flute solo. And I think that I inspired him to do that because we did the song at the winter concert, and the band wasn't really ready to play it yet, right after I came back from Cuba, so I played it on flute. But then a month later, Michael took my spot and played the flute solo at the Teen Arts Festival. So that was pretty exciting.
You must have been so proud
I was really proud to watch a student go from being so shy to playing a flute solo, improvising on a mic in front of hundreds of people. So that's a big thing so the inspiration, I think, passed through me to the student.
Yeah, that's a real gift and talent when kids improvise jazz music like that.
Definitely.
Oh my
That's
God.
great.
It's nice to know that art is alive and well in their generation.
Yes,
Yes.
for sure.
Ladies, what do you want people to know and remember about your trip?
I'd say one thing, music is a universal language. I just felt like even though, we weren't fluent in Spanish, but we could communicate through our music with the people there.
How is that with musicians? Do you all just know? Do you just sense? Is it in the rhythm? Do you just feel it? I've always wondered.
Well, there is...
You kind of sense it, like if you kind of know the tune, you can play along, and then musicians usually are really welcoming, and they say, oh, she wants to play with us.
There's a lot of preparation that goes on behind the scenes that people aren't aware of. So, to get on stage and say, okay, we're going to play Night in Tunisia, you better know the song. You better know the chord changes and the bridge.
That's true.
So we make it look like it's all just happening spontaneously, but everybody's done their homework. What I would like people to know about my trip from Cuba is that I really believe the musician level was so high because they're not as connected to television and the internet and the phones. They have all that.
But you have the people connection.
They're not walking around attached to their phones all the time, and I hope we don't spoil.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. If you'd like to find out more about today's guest, do log on to my Facebook page. We'll see you there.